and sit down.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Build, Paint, Play. I'm Dave.
I'm Jake.
And we're chuckling because we were just talking about massages right before, before the show began. And when we say that, it's like I got a very tense shoulder at the moment. And Jake was telling me about getting lacrosse balls and rolling up against a wall with them.
Yeah, I was trying to give him some help. I've had many a sports injury over the year, and like that's a good one. That'll help.
Yeah, this one's just being an old injury and stressed injury. That's what that one is. But yes, excellent. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm okay. I'm a little exhausted. It's been a long week. I was away at a wedding.
Oh, nice.
This weekend. One of our best friends, Lindsay, got married to her new husband, Drew, who's a fellow gamer. So we drove down to New Jersey, which was like a 4-hour drive, and then we were there like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then drove 4 hours home. And my wife was the maid of honor, so it was a lot of like, you know, her running around like doing stuff, and we didn't get a lot of sleep.
Okay.
So, and then we got home, and now my wife is like super sick. She's been basically like laid up for the last 2 days, just like with this really, really bad cough. It's one of those ones like, you know, it'll tickle in your throat and you start coughing, and then like she can't stop coughing.
Right. Yep.
She's had like bouts where she's like out of breath because she can't like stop and take a deep breath. And then I was telling Dave right before we jumped on. So I went to CVS to pick her meds, and like that was a total disaster. They like sent it to the wrong CVS, and then I had to wait 10 minutes, even though they've had the script since like 1. And like I was just like, okay, I gotta get home. I have stuff to do. I have to be on the show. But it's all good. I have tomorrow off. I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow.
Oh, nice. That's good. I won't be sleeping in. I got stuff to do. People to be. But it's amazing.
10 o'clock. That's all I got. I'm not sleeping till 1 or anything. I'm sleeping till 10.
Oh, no. Of course. By 10 o'clock, my God, that's like been awake for 4 hours by 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that
Maybe that's part of my problem. Should I just get... But the thing is, if I go to bed at like 10, I'll wake up at 2. And I'll be awake from 2 till like 4:30.
See, I don't go to bed. I'm a night owl. Like I don't go to bed till like 1 o'clock routinely.
Yep.
Sometimes 2, and then you know Rhino jumps on me at like 9:30. Like okay, and I'm like all right, I'm up. Like it's mine.
Yep.
That's normal.
Cool. No, that's good. That's good. Scott is in the chat. Hello, Scott. How you doing? Good to
What's up, Scott?
And there's somebody else. There are a couple other people. They'll join us shortly, I'm sure.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Jeff's here. Hooray!
Now we can start. Now that Scott and Jeff are here, we're good to go.
Yep. Exactly. That'd be fine. Absolutely good.
There's got to be somebody. Got to be a couple other people here too. It says there's 5 people on, so there we go.
Oh, I think you're one of them, right?
Yeah, right. But there's still still leaves a bunch. So
excellent. Hey, Ryan, how you doing? Cool. So hobby. Haven't really had a chance to get any hobby done? No.
No, not really. I did a little bit of. I guess that's more business than hobby. I was gonna say I did a little bit of like coaching. A buddy of mine was working on something, and I gave him some like hobby advice on like how I would tackle it. And then another kid wanted help like building like a Magic deck, and then a guy had a bunch of D&D questions. Another friend of mine, but like I didn't really get to do anything.
You got to facilitate other people's hobbies,
sure.
Right?
Yeah,
yeah. I'm sure that counts in some world.
Yeah, I mean residual.
That's all good. Well, you also got to do. You finished off the editing.
Yep.
On Chris Sherry's The Art of Book.
So it's all done in there?
No, this isn't. This was pre your edit. This was for my visual edit.
Yeah, don't send that one.
No, you don't want to. This is heavy. This is for my visual edit where I could go through and make sure that the colors were going to be right and the contrasts and things like the in the composition section.
Right.
There's something I had to boost up a little bit on some of the pics. There are some like compositional lines that in some of the photos stand out pretty well. Others not so well. So I got to boost those, that kind of thing. And then I got to throw in all your edits, and they all went off to the printers. Sunday.
Nice.
Sunday.
I still got to send you all my info. I keep forgetting to do that.
Yeah.
This week was hectic, but hey, what's up? I see Keith's on here. Hey, Keith.
Yep. Hey, Keith. Excellent. Oh, so says that sleep schedule is mental. I'm up by 5 weekdays. Yep. Granddaughter has dance class tonight. Very nice. Hope she's doing well with her dance class.
Nice.
Ryan says his sleep schedule is kind of stupid. I work from 7:30 till 4. I have the bad habit of going to work when I wake up. So sometimes the cats want to be fed early. I'm in the office at 5:30.
Dude, yeah. Ryan, listen. As one older white guy to another, cut that out. Like if you're supposed to be at work at 7:30 and they start paying you at 7:30, you should show up at 7:30.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not working for free for 2 hours. Like, get out of here.
Well, I'm sure he leaves at 2 or takes a 2-hour nap under his desk. That's what I'd be doing.
That'd be great. I bet he doesn't.
I would occasionally do that when I worked in the Sydney office of Games Workshop. I would take a nap.
I think in terms of like hours, I think the cushiest hours schedule I had was I worked at like a youth home. So I was like a counselor. Yep. See, there he goes. He goes in early and still stays till 4.
Yeah, that's not good, Ryan.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea. You're like, here's an extra day's worth of work after every week.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I the best schedule I ever had was I worked at a place where my schedule was Monday through Thursday, 1 to 10.
Right.
So 4 days. I was like, this is amazing. I had every weekend off.
Yep.
It was great.
Nice. That's good. But I get FTO. What's F? What's the F in FTO? Family time? Family time off?
Family time off, I get? Oh, flex time.
Flex time. Oh, okay. You see, I haven't worked in an office for a long time.
Yeah, I mean that's now that Dave and I are our own bosses.
Small businesses, eh?
Yeah, right.
There's no such thing as flex time.
Yeah, nobody tells me when I can work.
No, everybody tells me when I can work.
But I mean, I worked for enough Fortune 500s that like there's no way it never pans out. It's like literally all you are doing is you are showing your boss that you're willing to put in all this extra hours. It's just not worth it. Like, I'm just like, I'm good. I'm like, oh, you're paying me 8 to 5? Cool. I'm here 8 to 5. Yeah. Oh, you want to stay extra? I definitely had jobs where I got paid like time and a half and like kind of flex time, like what Ryan has. Yeah. And like I'm a team player. Like if there was stuff that needed to be done, I'll stay late. But I'm not going in early like every day. Like no way.
Yep. Just as flex time only happens at the gym, so I never have any.
That's right. Solid. Sick burn.
Excellent. No, it's it's kind of a weird thing. I think there are different kinds of jobs, right? There's always different kinds of jobs. There are some that are time specific, time sensitive,
right?
And so the tasks need to get done by a certain time, or you may as well not have done them.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So it's like TV news. TV news starts at 6 or at 4 or at 11:30,
Yeah.
whenever it actually starts. But if you start like a minute late, bad luck. You late. You missed your window kind of thing.
For sure.
And publishing jobs, regular publishing jobs, newspapers, that kind of thing. Although a lot of those are sort of dwindling in importance. I know my wife has her job tasks are time sensitive, but the timeline is so long on a lot of the projects where everything can be worked very carefully. So when they get up to that final point, it's very rarely a scramble. It's very rarely a crunch.
Right.
So, and then of course there are just other jobs where it's like, well, if it takes this long, it takes this long. There is no deadline. It's just how long the thing takes.
Yeah.
So,
oh, God.
It's all kind of
it's hard. I mean, as a small business owner, I mean, I guess technically multiple small business owner, it's a lot. Like balancing your schedule is really hard, and like, you know, trying to prioritize everything, and it does create some weird timing stuff. Especially when you have something that pops up, like if you're on something that's time sensitive, like you were saying, and then you have something that gets dropped in your lap that's like, well, it's done when it's done. It's like, oh God, like now it's like, okay, I have to like pair off a little bit of time each day to try to chip away at this other project because I want to spend all my time. I am a checklist guy,
right.
and my favorite thing is being like, oh, I have these 8 things to do, and then just crossing them off.
Right. Yeah. I'm just gonna move this guy over here.
Yeah, totally fine.
Because I'm a checklist guy when there's a lot of stuff on.
Yeah.
And I need to keep it all. So, in the last few weeks, there's been that checklist and that checklist.
Oh my God.
And where are my other checklists? This checklist. This checklist.
Dave, I gotta get you the thing that I have. I have a remarkable tablet, and it's like my favorite thing.
No, it wouldn't work for me.
It's just like that. You can write on it. It is literally designed to take hand notes, and it's tied to the internet, so you can like upload mail, but it's not tied to the internet like Facebook or anything like that. You don't get any alerts. It's not that kind of thing. It is literally a writing tablet. I love it. It's so I don't lose paper or like, oh, where did I put that piece of paper that has my list on it? It's always on that tablet. It's awesome.
Well, that's the great thing about it being here is it's always going to be like in a layer, and if it's too far down in that layer, in those layers, then it's not important anymore.
Oh my God.
So, but yeah, that's my approach to. Actually, now I'm just going to find my notes for the show. There we go. For checklists.
All right. So speaking of small businesses,
yes.
let's do this.
Should we jump in and talk about small businesses then?
Yes.
Yep. There we go. Jim's team pen and paper. Nice.
I like pen and paper. My problem is I just started losing them.
Right.
Because like I have stuff here on my desk, I have stuff in my backpack, I have stuff at my desk at work, and then I have stuff in the living room. Yeah. And like I'll write something down on a pad of paper, and then I'll be like, where'd that pad of paper go? And then it's like I have to like go through like a million things to try to find it. And I'll use my wife's office upstairs sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas like if it's on my tablet thing, it's always there.
Yeah.
And I can technically send it to myself, so I have a copy of my email.
Yeah. When I first started Dave Taylor Miniatures, I got a whiteboard.
Yeah.
So I could write on it what jobs I had for the month, and for the next month and the next month. That whiteboard is still over there, and it has the jobs that I did in like February 2014, March 2014, and April 2014 on it.
They're still not done. You still haven't checked them off. They're still there.
No, I got them done, but I just didn't replace them with other jobs that were coming through. I had to work on a different schedule, but yeah.
I can't wait to hopefully at some point you and I'll be able to afford like assistants. That would be great.
That would be nice.
If I had a planner and assistant, oh my God, that'd be so great.
Yep. That's good. Ryan says, my approach is memory. If I don't remember that I need to do it, obviously it wasn't that important after all. Yeah.
See, I do that too, but I'm at the point now that there's too many things to remember, and like the way the time stuff meshes up, and then I'm like, when's that one due?
Yep. Yes.
All
I
right,
usually
so
do that, except when it's crunch time. So,
yeah,
but yeah. Anyway, so some things to we'll get some stuff out of the way first, and then we'll talk a little bit more about small businesses and yeah, that kind of thing.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Man, you are tired.
Yeah, he's awesome. I'm also reading Jeff's like, so Dave needs a checklist to keep track of his checklists.
No, Jeff, I think these ones are mostly checked off. Some things weren't checked off that I did. I'm just going to find my pen. There it is.
Jeff, what you can't see is the last thing on the checklist is lose this checklist.
Done.
Wow.
That way, if I find it in like 5 years' time, I can look at it and go, oh no, all checked off. It's all good.
That one, awesome.
Oh, man, I forgot to make that Facebook post. Son of a bitch. So, it's all good. All good. So, yeah. A couple of things that we're going to run through first. Just quickly, get them out of the way. If you're watching the show, please don't forget to like, subscribe. It's down on this side, I think. Subscribe down through Scott's Minis there. Yeah. And hit the little bell, leave a comment, all those things that will help us grow as human beings. It's how it works, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. The algorithm tells us so. But yes, moving right along. The tremendous Tome of Epic Dungeons is live on Kickstarter now.
It is.
Now.
Brought to you by Zardulak and the Blade Slaves.
Zardulak still not completed. I had very little hobby time this week.
I get it. I got you. I get it.
Yeah, I didn't mention what I was doing for hobby time, but I'll come back to that in a minute. So yes, that is. It is. There we go. Sorry. Next up. Oh yeah. So this is one of the crazy folks that we've got involved in it. This is David Mayer from from France. He's on Instagram as Horchar, and has been working on this awesome dungeon build.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's all carved out of foam.
Like Dol Guldur.
Plus the thing. Did I show this last week? I probably showed this last week, didn't I?
Yes. I think it was a different picture, but it was this. It was an actual picture of it, not that.
Oh, okay, radio, not the book image, but no, very cool stuff. Yeah, it's got a very Dol Guldur, Argonath, Khazad-dûm feel. Anytime you've got big soaring structures and tall things, you got the Weta Workshop folks to think.
Statues.
Yeah, it's definitely good. And we, of course, cannot forget the Cathy Wappel tribute mini. So if you want to help out our friend Cathy and her husband Jim, Cathy's going through a rough time at the moment with cancer. And every purchase of this mini from Dark Sword Miniatures goes to help Cathy and Jim. And
same thing with the shirts too. Yep. I know that.
Do we still have some shirts?
I think there's still some shirts left. I got an update the other day. I know that they wanted to bring some to Adepticon, but I know that there's still some available on the website. If you just go to adepticon.com, you can find it on there in their merch. And then
yep.
I thought they made a post about the Dark Sword mini too. I know that they don't have a ton of them left.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, this was a couple of days ago, but like I know they have.
Cool. Well, pretty soon. I think next month. In November. So I'm not sure exactly when in November. Reaper will be making them in Reaper Bones or in Seercast or something like that. So we'll make sure we put that link up when that is available too.
For sure.
But yes. So that would be great. So those are the initial two things that we have. Oh, yep. Things to cover. The So yeah, the Kickstarter at the moment. Did I say how much that was on? Just looking at it.
Let me scroll
We
back
are
up
at
here.
250 backers, 59% funded, which is pretty good because it launched at noon today. So 7 hours. Happy with that. Coming along nicely. But yes. Cool. So Ryan just said first thing on the checklist is buy pens. Nothing is checked off.
That's right.
Yeah.
How'd you rate? Buy
the pen. Once you've bought the pen, then you're all good. You're absolutely fine. But yes, small businesses. How amazing are they? Amazing.
Probably my favorite business.
Probably your favorite form of business.
Probably.
It's. I was thinking about it a lot today. Obviously, going through a whole bunch of very stressful, anxiety-inducing moments. But when we used to say you use the word small business, before like pre-internet or pre-internet. Let's go back to the heady days of 1990, and we said small business. What was a small business to us then?
So back then, I would have said like my big thing was like local bookstores.
Right, yeah.
Like I was into the local bookstores. There was always so many good ones. And it's before you had like the sort of like the big box stores like Barnes and Noble and stuff. Like they were around, but there were so many smaller ones that were really fun.
Yep.
Your friendly local comic shop. I've always been a comic book guy, so like popping into comic stores is always a big one for me. Like there's no such thing as like a corporate comic book store. And like hobby shops for the most part growing up. Like I can't think of any like, chain hobby store.
What is it? Hobbytown, USA?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. Like, do they even still exist?
Yeah, I think they do. But they're not so much anymore. But yeah. But no, yeah, so a lot of local, basically small retail stores is what you're talking about. Obviously, small businesses as well, like handyman businesses, plumbers, electricians.
Sure.
Lots of small individual or 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, family business, local restaurants.
Yeah. At what size would you say that they start to slip from being small into like medium?
So I think as far as like the government is concerned, I know once you have more than like 50 employees, that's a big one.
Was it 50? Did you say?
I think once you have 50 or more, I think you're no longer considered a small business. Right. From a financial standpoint, I know like your tax brackets start to change. Like once you get north of like $1 million, it ticks up a little bit, and then it goes up again. I don't remember the brackets, but like I know that there's like different things that change around. But
right.
Games Workshop is definitely not a small business. They are a Fortune 500 company.
But it fits in that. When you said chain hobby stores, I think when we were talking like in the early 90s for us, Scott, I didn't know they existed in 1990. I didn't know Games Workshop existed, but they definitely weren't in they weren't in Australia at all.
Right. Here in the US, I think when did they open the
in the US they were I think 83, 84 was their first US store. Yeah. They only had a few stores until the 90s. I could be wrong, maybe it was like 87, but I'm pretty sure it was pre.
Yeah, I was there during the big you and I were both there during the big boom when they started expanding the US market
in the early 2000s. But
late 90s early 2000s when they went through their big like push and they started like opening up stores, but even in North America and in most of the world, like if you were in England, sure, there was a bunch of them, but if you were anywhere else, like having 1 or 2 stores or even like 6 stores in the US, that's I mean, like they're a big business. They just weren't they didn't have a big presence here.
Yeah. He also said best small business, local bars. You're not wrong. Not completely wrong. It's good. But yes, cool. Okay. I was wondering because there are a couple of businesses that came up on the list of small businesses that we wanted to talk about that have like 30, like 20 or 30 staff members. And I was like, I wonder where the threshold is. But yeah, I suppose some larger local restaurants and that kind of thing can have like 20, 30, 40 staff members, depending on the size and the thing. It's got there are only two types of stores in Australia in the 80s: stores that sold football pads and crossbows, and stores that sold V8 cars, dirt bikes, and crossbows. Also, not wrong. Absolutely true. Fantastic. But yeah. So I know it's I think it's been an interesting thing to watch small businesses in the wargaming sphere, around the tabletop gaming sphere. Even like board games as well, role-playing games. It's amazing how many small businesses exist in those realms. But looks like you're reading something off the screen, Jake.
I am. I'm actually checking the legal definition of what is considered a small business.
Okay, cool. I need response when I talk.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I spend all day like not talking to anybody. Yeah. So talking just to myself makes me feel a bit crazy.
Oh man! Oh wow! You and I are both a little punchy, we're both a little laughy. So the SBA, which is the Small Business Association, defines a small business as one with, it's between you cannot have more than 1,500 employees.
Really? Wow.
And again, like they still have it bracketed. Yeah. So like what is considered a very small, like they use the term mom and pop is you can have between 1 and 50. And then what they consider a mid-sized business is basically 50 to 100. And then a small business, because after that it goes to like a corporation, is a non-corporation that has no more than 1,500 employees.
Wow.
And you can make anywhere between $1 million and $41.5 million. You could still be considered a small business. Once you break that threshold, you're no longer that.
Just around the corner.
Yeah,
another Kickstarter to go. Crack that. 41.5, did you say? Yeah, maybe I'll just try to keep it under like to 41.4.
Yeah, you want to stay right at 40.
Yeah. Amazing. Scott says, I'm torn on how easy it is to go into business for yourself now. There are so many small businesses run by people who just should not be in business for themselves. And it can be hard on us customers.
God, you are not wrong.
Yep. Exactly. Kickstarter has altered what a small business is as well. Absolutely true there, Jeff.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. Like I know that you and I have talked about it a bunch. I've talked about it with, John Matthews. I've talked about it with, Rick Ankney. Just like there's so many times where we'll be talking to people, whether they're in our business or in an adjacent business or completely unrelated. It's staggering to me how many people got into a business for either completely the wrong reasons or with completely the wrong skill set. It's baffling to me, the amount of money that is just thrown away. But
right. Yep. Exactly. Sorry, yeah. So yes, hell of a point, old wolf. Indeed.
All right, so other than your business and my business, what others? We'll end with those. Obviously, what are the?
Sure, we can end with those. But sorry, before we get into that, I was just going to say, it is interesting. You talked about us one day we'll have assistants and that kind of thing. I sit there thinking, actually, no, because one of the things that I learned in my 15 years with Games Workshop, most of those in a management position, was that I'm not very good at managing people. I'm good at coordinating people. I'm good at bringing people together to be excited about things,
Right.
but I'm not good at managing them. So managing an assistant would be a bad thing for me. Mainly because it'd been a lot of work with my therapist as well, is that my anxiety is what has always sabotaged me in the past. So I've spent a lot of time over the last few years learning more and more about sort of how I can respond to things, and also why it's better for me to just to be managing myself.
Well, that's why you and I can merge our small businesses.
Okay.
Because most of my background, believe it or not, is managing staff and managing process. Like that's been 20 plus years of my work experience has been that. Like I've been in management since I was, I think, like 18, 19.
Right.
But yeah,
I was 20 when I started as a manager. Yep.
I think I think I had a couple of jobs when we were talking about this. Well, we at the wedding, we were talking about like first jobs and stuff. And I think I got my first job when I was like 16.
Right.
And then by the time I was like 18 or 19, like I got promoted at one of them and was a shift supervisor at CVS. And then from that point on, I've never not been a manager, and I've usually leveraged it to keep getting like, promotions and pay raises and stuff like that, which has been great. But then, I don't have any complaints about it. Like I think part of the reason I've been so fortunate in my work experience is because I've learned from really, really great people over the years. Like I've learned a ton from John Matthews. Like he was such a good mentor and such a good boss. And my boss at GameStop for a long time was this guy Rob. Awesome. Like he was so good at dealing with people and like understand. Like he was really good at motivating and at like managing his people,
right,
to then ensure that you like got the right things done and you learned the right skills, as opposed to other people I've worked with that just manage like they don't know how to manage people. They just manage like a staff, or they just manage like an end result. It's like, well, we need to get this many things, and it's like, yeah, but you're not helping the staff by telling them that. Like that's not doing anything. So
yeah. So
Jeff seems stunned.
Yes. I noticed that. Nice one. We'll leave that there, right?
It's fine. We'll
leave
fine.
it there. But so I think when I sort of realized that kind of thing, I decided that what my job would do, what my business would do, would be to do what I could do within that sphere, and to do as much as I could do.
Right.
And one of the things that I love doing is building networks and like talking with people, finding out what they do, finding out what they're interested in doing, and then bringing people together. So somebody comes to me and says, "Hey Dave, I'd love for you to do this for me." And I'm like, "Well, I can't do that for you for the next 3 months." And they're like, "Oh, I really need it done like in a month's time." I'd be like, "Okay, well, you need to talk to Tim, or you need to talk to around to the people that I know who can also handle those jobs, either in their new full-time job or their side hustle, or whatever you want to call it."
We always call that traffic copping.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You wave people on.
Like, whoa, hold up! I can't do that. Hey, why don't you come in and help him out with this? Like,
Awesome. I got an email the other day from a guy in Australia who was like, "Hey Dave, I've written this game and I'm looking to, we're going to either self-publishing or crowdfunding or this or the other. Can you is this a project you can help me with?" And I'm like, "It is not a project I can help you with until like April or May next year. But how about we talk for like an hour, and I'll get a good sense of what you're doing, what you need to do, and where you want to go, and I can put you in touch with the people who can help you."
Right. I mean, I think part of that too, though, is like, it's part of the reason you, me, Rick, people like that in our orbit are this. We all think the same way, which is, I want to help people.
Yep.
Like I like, you know what I mean? Like I have friends who work in sales because like they're good at sales, and I'm like, I've always worked in sales because I'm good at customer service, and I like help. Like, hey, somebody has a problem, they tell me the problem, and I'm like, okay, how can I help them solve this problem? Even if I can't do it, I will be like, oh, you know what? I don't know how to do that, but I think Dave knows how to do it. Let me have you talk to Dave, or you know what? I don't know how to really do that. Let's get Rick on the phone. Like,
Yeah.
I like facilitating stuff. I think that's helpful. Plus, it's like I've been so fortunate having people that I can like lean on and count on for stuff that I'm like, I'm happy to share that. And if the network that I've created can help somebody else, awesome.
Yeah.
Like I just think that's just good for everybody. But
Yeah, exactly. I think, and I think that's another way that the things have changed a bit thanks to the internet and crowdfunding and all of those sort of things, is that people are much more willing to be more collaborative and to.
I don't think people are necessarily more. I think it's just easier to do it.
Well, it's easier to do it. But,
yeah.
Which I think, like, previously people would just go, "Oh no, I don't want to do that." But now you can say, let's just have a quick call. Let's just have a quick Zoom call or a Facebook chat or whatever, and you get to talk to somebody face to face, who's hundreds of miles away.
Yeah, true.
And they can lay out your ideas, and somebody can go, "Oh, actually, yeah, that's not too bad. I can do that." Yeah.
Back in the day, if I just would have called you, I'd have been like.
Sure. Yep. That's what it would have been. It wouldn't have been. Hello, Krajewski 341.
Hello.
Hello. You're there. No, but I think that's it's another thing that has helped facilitate a lot of the small businesses in wargaming, is that ability to, or that. For me, I see it as a greater willingness to collaborate. But you might be right. It might not be a greater willingness, but it's a greater ease. It's more convenient to collaborate than.
I definitely think it's easier. Yeah. I think it's a lot simpler to do. I think you have more options to do it. But like without naming names, like I can think of a couple small businesses that I know of now that are absolute clown shows. Like they don't know what they're doing. And they have zero. The way that they view everybody else is that like, well, in order for me to win, you have to lose.
Right.
And I'm always like, no, we're all on the same team here. Like if your store that's on the other side of the country does really well, and I can do something that helps you do better, it helps all of us because it grows the community. And so many of these guys are like, well, these are my customers. I'm like, none of these customers are your customers. This is our community.
Yep.
And like I think that as soon as more people start thinking like that, it just makes it easier.
Yeah. No, very definitely. Very definitely. One person we don't have on the list here that I'll mention when it comes to that sort of collaboration idea, particularly to use new technologies and overcome changing market forces, some might say. I don't know, it sounds a little bit technical. But Victoria Miniatures.
Yep.
So just recently ran Kickstarter for the Halfling Snipers.
Yep.
So some Rattling Snipers. She sculpted 10 fantastic snipers digitally. Ran a Kickstarter for digital and CEOcast versions. And rather than making them all herself, buying a CEOcast machine, having it in Adelaide, making all the molds, casting everything, and then shipping it all from Australia to around the world. She worked with Aetherworks in Australia, who have a CEOcast machine. Trenchworks in Utah. And Tinnen de Roos, I think, in the Netherlands. So she got all of the master molds made in the Netherlands, and then those molds were shipped out to Trenchworks and Aetherworks, and then Aetherworks is casting up everything for Australia, New Zealand. Trenchworks is doing all of US, Canada, and Tinendurus is doing UK, Europe. Covers the main areas.
Yeah, whenever you have like a support network that lets you deal in multiple countries without like stretching your your support line, I think it's
Yep.
just always easier. Like we've talked about this before, like for Kickstarter and stuff. It's like, oh well, we're getting books and all this stuff made here, and you're like, well, yeah, but that's heavy. So now I have to ship it. I either have to have it made overseas and shipped here, or I have to make it here and ship it overseas. Or worst case scenario, it's made in like China. I get it shipped here, and then I have to ship it to Europe, and you're like, yeah, all that's bad. All those options are not good. So
Yep. Yep. There's very interesting stuff there, and I think there was something that they're probably still being used just as much, but so drive-through RPG. It was
Yep.
drive-through. I can't remember if it's drive-through RPG. My apologies.
you
But
press.
Lightning Source.
Okay.
Might be Lightning Source that I'm thinking of, but they're an on-demand printer, and they print in 5 or 6 different countries. So if you have a product, a small run product that you want to have, let people have the option of having a physical product. If you're not worried about if you're not completely worried about the end quality,
Yeah.
then print on demand in those locations.
I don't have a problem with on demand like sourcing and filming. Like, you know, I do that like for a lot of the merch stuff that we do. Like theoretically the shirts that we did for the Wappel charity were on demand. I mean,
You went and demanded it, and they gave them to you.
well, yeah, like we worked with Tim, and like Tim did all the development, and then you know Hank and the guys at Adepticon were like, you know, we'll handle fulfillment, and then I worked with both of them and with Tim to get the design kind of finalized and came up with like their shirt options, and then worked with the guys that I work with to get everything made, you know, at a reasonable time and a reasonable rate and a good price point to make sure that we had enough money for Cathy, but. It's not like we're just keeping those as live designs and I'm just making them all the time. Like it's a one. I mean, not that we couldn't make another production run, but the idea was like it's a one and done. It's like we want to do 700 t-shirts. Okay, cool. Like I'll take care of it. Like you let me know what you want. And like so, James has a question. He wanted to know will COCast lower the barrier to entry for small businesses in the long run, or will resin still be the way for small miniature companies? So as somebody who's currently working on this now, and like Dave and I have talked with this. I'm currently in the process of starting a brand new production business here in the U.S. that will print full service miniatures. So the idea is we'll do hip plastic, which is basically the same thing that Games Workshop has, or any kind of sprue plastic that you would see. And we've looked into doing COCast. We actually decided against it. Part of the reason being that COCast is a cool thing, but it's a lot more limited than people realize. The reason we decided not to go with it is that. So you sign a contract with COCast, you have to buy all of your like whatever they want to call that little pellet particulate stuff.
Yep.
And it's their like proprietary blend. And you use it to make your minis. And when you run out, you order more from them. If you use anything other than their blend, it voids the warranty and they will not handle any kind of like service calls or anything like you've basically voided any of their help. So you have to go through them to get your product. Now, something could happen tomorrow where there's a shortage of one of the chemicals and you have to pay extra to get it. Like they are literally the only source to get their product. And because it's so proprietary like that, it just seems like an absolute nightmare. Like it is such a fragile structure. Like there's no base. It's like, oh, we make the thing, we make the pieces. And if you don't use our stuff, we won't help you.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, I'm good.
There are issues like that. Maybe not as fine, not making it that sort of.
It's literally just one lane.
One lane, yeah, I know. But a lot of resin suppliers. If we had Jeff Wilhelm on here, a lot of resin suppliers source their raw materials from the same place. So if you get a hurricane that comes through and hits Houston, your resin supply is going to be interrupted for the next 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
You've seen prices like tin for metal miniatures be incredibly volatile over the years. I think there's a what's the word I'm looking for? I think there's that kind of thing can occur supply line interruption can occur sort of in any way, but the fact that it's a single company proprietary thing is the additional structure that causes issue.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be a lot more flexible if it was like COCast makes the machine and it works with any sort of resin thermoplastic mix that falls in these boundaries.
Yeah.
But it's literally like it's just the one choice. Like,
right.
so,
Sure.
yeah, it's just nightmarishly like narrow. And you've got so many companies now that I think saw the potential in it and jumped on it that now, Ryan's correct. It's a single point of failure. So now that's magnified by the fact that you would think that by having more clients that it would increase their size, so they would boost their production to keep up with it. But from some of my friends that are overseas that we've talked about this, that's really not the case. Like they still only have a limited production. So when you order, like I heard that I don't know if this is true, but I had heard that there are caps on on how much you're allowed to buy at any given time based on how many machines you have.
Oh, interesting.
But again, now that could have been a couple months ago coming out of the pandemic when they weren't sure, maybe.
Yeah.
But
it sounds like it's a move to prevent stockpiling.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. I think I
think
wonder if it's going to be one of those things where over time, as the people who are working with COCast machines become much more familiar with them, and the machines get a bit older and they're not, or the actual machines become a bit cheaper as they go down, that people are willing to go, well, let's just try this.
Yeah.
And then
they
talk with a different like thermoplastic resin supplier, and that starts to open up initially bootleg resin pellets or whatever.
For years I've been saying as soon as Games Workshop figures out the digital sales model,
yep,
I think it's a game changer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because people all now are like, oh well, like how would you change it and all this and stuff, and I'm like, you do it just like Microsoft does. Like you key all of the codes so that you have to basically be on a live server and you log in and you register your account, and then it literally lets you. It ties itself to your printer, so you can. You're not even doing it through your computer. It doesn't let you download anything. You are sending the file to your computer, and then as soon as it's gone, it's like, cool, you used it, and then that code expires and you're no longer connected to the website. So it's like, oh, okay, I made the one thing. It's just a matter of time. Like if they can do it with cash transactions and all this other stuff, there's no reason why they can't do it with digital files.
Yep.
So,
and I think for this though, that's something that'll happen in the next 2 years.
Yeah, probably.
But it could be interesting. But as far as lowering the barrier for entry, I think what you're going to find is that there'll be people who set up as print houses, essentially.
Yep.
Manufacturing houses. So if you have a line that you want to get made, you can get it made. You don't have to own the COCast machine. There you go.
It's the whole point. Like, there's only like 2 or 3 companies that do it now. One of them is very limited in what they can do. And I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. Like they're good guys. Like, but one of them is very limited in what they can do, and the other one, they have a terrible reputation. Right. They've done a lot of stuff, and right now I know that they're helping at least 2 or 3 different companies that I can think of. But they have a very tarnished reputation, kind of in the industry. So, but yeah, again, I think you're right. I think being able to offer that, like if James came up with a miniatures game tomorrow and was like, hey, I want to get 50 of this mini made. How do we do that? Okay, yeah, we can talk about it. Like, I can get that done for you.
Yeah.
But that's the whole idea. So.
Yeah, I think it will lower the barrier to entry for small businesses for sure, but there'll always be, depending on what end use you're talking about. So if you're talking about gaming miniatures, plastics are going to be the direction, and if you're talking about like high quality casts, at the moment you're still talking resin for that.
Yeah, I mean, again, hip plastic is fine for it as long as your sculpts are good, and like the guys whoever's sculpting your stuff understands that you have to have certain depths to get the detail that you want, all that. I mean, to this day, like
I'm talking about I'm talking about like busts and display model things like that. Like stuff like Squidmar's just released on his Kickstarter. So stuff like that where those models are incredibly detailed, and that's the point. The point isn't to have soft edges. Everything you need is crisp. So, but yes, we'll call him Injection Mold Jake.
I got you.
Excellent.
All right. So what small business do we want to jump on here?
Okay. I have a list. So, I think we'll go through. We'll look at everybody's minis that they posted, and then we'll come back and cover the ones that we didn't. I can check them off as we go, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Here's my pen and my paper. So first up, we are looking at. So this is these are models from Bushido. This is from Ben Williams. So this is GCT Studios.
Yep.
Who are in? They're in the UK, as far as I'm aware.
Yep.
Based in the UK. Bushido is a small-scale skirmish game. I think it's played on a 2x2.
Yep.
So,
super fun.
Pardon?
It's super fun. It's a really good game.
Yeah, nice. I think these are folks that have had like a very interesting ebb and flow of success. So things were chugging along for a while, then they became very popular, and they weren't prepared for it, so they weren't able to supply. So popularity dipped, came back down. It's gone up and down a few times, but would that be fair to say, Jake?
I think so. When we first opened, I was trying to see where they are in the UK. When we first opened, we had a bunch of guys come in and they wanted us to start carrying Bushido, and I was like, I've never heard of that game, which is always fun to run into. So I was like, let me see what I can do, and I could order it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It was really difficult to get it with anything approaching like regularity. And then they went through this huge dip, and like basically like Golden Distribution, for example, they're really good about like minis and hobby stuff, and it was like, here's our 200 SKUs. We have these 4 in stock. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I reached out to the guys directly, and they were super nice. I saw them at Gen Con, and I was like, I would like to get this stuff. So they brought my order from the UK, and I just literally took it with me from the booth. But yeah, they definitely had some, they were really swingy with their kind of supply management stuff. So
yeah, fantastic looking miniatures though. And and as usual,
it's really fun.
Ben's done an awesome job painting these. I think he said these were his Kitsune warband.
I can see that.
Some wonderful foxes. Where's the next? And here we have some more of the foxes. So I'm not sure if they're familiars or what they do in the game.
That I could not tell you.
But they look very cool, though. Super cute. Okay.
Yeah, their minis are great. They have a very like fantasy feudal Japan kind of vibe. Like there's some very traditional samurai stuff and like villager stuff, and there's even like ninja clans, and then there's like oni and like mythical creatures and stuff like that. Like there's like a big celestial dragon. The demons look super cool. They have some really nice minis. Awesome.
And I was going to ask, what are the minis metal or?
I think I know they do some plastic ones.
Oh, okay.
But like, cause they have a couple board games, and you can use the minis out of the board games in the game.
Okay.
So some of them are plastic, but most of their stuff's metal.
Okay. Oh yeah. Cool. No, I just thought it'd be interesting for us to go through and keep an eye on it as we progress. But the next one we have, so those again were Ben Williams who painted those up. Scott says Bushido I have are all metal. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, they do make. I know they make plastic ones because I have some of them. It's a lot of their like specialty pieces, and I think they've done some resin ones too. But like it's usually really small stuff. The bulk of their stuff is metal.
Right. Yep. That's cool. Excellent. This is from Chris Gorka, obviously. Gorka Miniatures in the corner. But this is his Geomancer from Relic Blade.
Oh, Ben is obsessed with Relic Blade.
Awesome.
That's actually Metal King Studios.
It is Metal King Studios. Yep.
Because they have another game called Sludge, which is their like weird World War One game. But yeah, Relic Blade is their big one. Ben is obsessed with Relic Blade.
Yeah. Yep. So that's Sean Sutter. There we go. Sorry, I didn't lose Sean's name this time. Hooray! Sean Sutter, who we should definitely have on next season. But yeah, doing the game design, the art, the layout, the sculpting, the casting. He was doing it all. The packaging, shipping. So I have no idea how you can. I can understand how somebody could be skilled enough to be able to do all of those things, but to have the drive to do all of those things is incredible.
So the time to do all those things.
Exactly. And still, when somebody orders a rulebook, put a sketch in the front, which is pretty sweet. But yeah, Relic Blade, some beautiful models there. Metal King Studios, and I think I could be completely wrong, but I think just recently Malev has kind of joined him as a part-time partner. So nice. Malev is doing a lot of the social media and Twitch streaming and that kind of thing. So it's very cool to see that happening. But yeah, Sludge is in that kind of Inc. 28 adjacent kind of area.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not World War One. It's sort of mud-strewn trench warfare kind of feel, but it's like as if World War One had gone on for like centuries.
Okay.
But people didn't think to change tactics at all. So rather than advancing and progressing, it just remained in that horrendous stalemate. It like the whole world stagnated.
Nice.
So I'm sure that's not the background, but it's that kind of feel for it for sure. But yeah, I think that looks awesome. And some of those he is actually, it's been Blacksite Studios has been doing the producing models for him for that. So that's again collaboration, working with somebody else, another small business to get those things done. But yeah, super cool. Great to see there, Chris. Thank you. Next up, we've got another Chris Gorka Mini. And this is from one that we'll come back to. We'll come back to this game. Scott's got a couple of models that he sent in later as well. This is from the Drowned Earth by Olmec Games.
Don't know that one.
So Olmec Games are out of England. I think they're in London. I can't remember the name of the guy who runs it, but probably 2018, 2019, he launched the Drowned Earth, which is set 3,000 or 4,000 years into the future, maybe longer. But essentially, the Earth as we know it has been drowned by rising sea levels.
Is Kevin Costner in it?
No, Kevin Costner is not in it. This is post Costner.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of other things that have gone on. James Baldwin, there we go. Scott, I knew Scott would know, or somebody would know. But yeah, so the gaming table that you play on, or at least the initial gaming table that people played on, was very much a wonderful mix of swamp, rainforest, and sort of downtown urban kind of stuff. So you could be swinging on vines through trees, across through a window into the accounting department, and then like turn right and run across, then leap off and swim through an aqueduct, all sorts of stuff. I think we talked to them on Flock and Oar when they were launching. I think yes, probably did. But one of my favorite things about
I was gonna say you can launch an assault on the Crimson Permanent Assurance.
You could probably do that. Yes, I think you could, if they happen to be sailing by. But yeah, they've got some very good ape characters as well. But I gotta admit, I don't know much about Olmec games at all.
Is it 28 mil?
Yeah, 28 mil. Yep.
I like it. It's cool. I mean, who doesn't like dinosaurs? So that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But yeah, so we've got that one there. Scott should know a bit about them as well, but you let me know if they're all metal or are they metal and resin. I have a feeling it's a mix. Moving right along, we have a Saga Warband from Jeff Smith. And
Of course, they're Vikings. It's Jeff Smith.
Yeah, of course. But Saga is from Studio Tomahawk in France. And Drowned Earth, all metal, all the time, baby. There we go. I was just wondering, some of those ape models are really big. They'd be really hefty in metal. Not quite Dreadnought scale, metal Dreadnought scale, but not far from it. But yeah, Studio Tomahawk in France. Again, small company, 1, 2, maybe 3 guys. Put together the rules for Saga, and it just took off. Everybody was really excited about Saga, and so they go through that that moment of not being able to supply enough, but they partnered up with Gripping Beast in the UK. Okay. Gripping Beast does loads of historical miniatures. So basically, Gripping Beast does a lot of their distribution for them, rules wise, equipment wise. Have you played Saga at all before?
It looks like it's halfway between Warlord, doing like Slain, or SPQR, which is like the skirmish version of Hail Caesar, right. And then like Frostgrave. Like it looks like it's in that same kind of vein.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's you have what do you have? You have essentially Levy, Warriors, and Hearthguard. They're different unit levels or troop levels.
Got it.
A Hearthguard unit is like 1 point, and it's 4 models. A Warrior unit is 1 point, and it's 8 models. And a Levy unit is 1 point, and it's 12 models, I think.
Got it. So like, it's like it's troops, elites, HQ.
Well, then you have your Warlord, and there might actually be characters as well that you can have, but their fighting stats are all different, depending on the army, the unit. They might have different benefits or bonuses, but it's all using dice, but it's using regular D6 for your combat. D6? Sure, I'm going to say D6 for the combat. But the special thing they have is what they call I can't even. They're not strategy boards. I can't remember what they're called now. You can let me know in the comments, Jeff. In the chat. But basically, they have these boards that are particular to each army. So, and you have your Saga dice, which have symbols on them, proprietary symbols. You can, of course, just use D6 to roll them, equate them to the symbols. But you roll those dice, usually 1 per unit, roll them all at once, and then you get to arrange them on your Saga board to allow you to do special, either to activate your units.
Oh, I got you.
Or to allow you to activate special abilities.
It's like a target number pool system. You like roll your dice, and then you can assign them where you want them. And
yeah, so it might be. So for Saga Age of Magic is what I played with it. I think the guys that I played had, you could roll crown, banner, or skull. Let's say, for example, might not be those three things, but let's say those are the 3 things. So you roll your 6, 7, 8 dice, however many you have, how many Saga dice you have, and then you assign them, and you can go, okay, well, the crown will let me activate my characters or an elite unit.
Mhm.
So I'll put that there.
Yeah, I get it. I understand the concept. I like that. There's another game I played that has the same kind of thing. You can like sort of like
I've
parse
explained it
out
so poorly though.
the results.
Yeah, yeah. But so it's one of those things. If you want to get a boost, you're going to sacrifice activating a unit during the turn. But it's definitely a fun game. But then they went on to do Muskets and Tomahawks, which was a French and Indian War scale game. They came back and did Saga Age of Magic. They've done Saga 2nd Edition.
Look at how straight the spears are. It's the best.
It is amazing, isn't it? They're probably brass rod. I hope they are.
Ooh. Ooh.
Boo. No. Perfect. You should always do that for all of your spears. But no, they look great, Jeff. Very nicely done. But yeah, Studio Tomahawk, definitely check them out. They write some very innovative games. And then we move on. We have a huge selection of models here from Scott, because as we know, Scott is all about the small businesses.
Good.
So first up, we have these awesome models from Pulp Alley and Pulp Figures. I know Bob Murch from Pulp Figures.
Those are great.
They do, don't they? They're awesome. They have that awesome Back and Beyond feel, and the cultists are absolutely wicked.
Well, it's like 4 random kill markers that are dressed in robes, and then you've got like Indiana Jones, Riverboat Captain,
Yep.
Old man, old lady Withers, and then female explorer.
Right. Yep. But no, they definitely do look super cool. But yeah, you can use them for all sorts of stuff. But Bob at Pulp Figures has got a huge range of stuff, and he's British Columbia, Canada, is where he's based out of. But definitely check out that if you're thinking of any sort of pulp style gaming. Obviously, those cultists would be great for Cthulhu stuff as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got a huge range of, I guess, historical pulp. Is that the way you put it? Is that the way you put it? There's some awesome Back and Beyond. He's got like great Polar Explorers range and that kind of thing. Pulp Alley is so much fun. Those aren't kills. Cultists are members of the Esoteric Order of Dagon.
Oh, guys they're gonna get just smoked.
For sure. Mainly because those hoods are going to fall down over their eyes and they're going to trip on the ropes, right? That's what it's going to be. But they do look awesome.
All I can think of is Fletch when I see dudes like that.
Yeah.
There's a great scene in Fletch Lives where he like pretends to like infiltrate some group that are all wearing like robes, and he's like, hey, it's definitely me. Don't worry about it. I belong here. It's phenomenal.
Nice. Cool. Drowned Earth again. So here are some fantastic pieces. So this is one of those. I guess it's a Saurian, like kind of like the one that Chris had painted. Different colors, of course, but it's great.
Interesting.
And that this fantastic Walker mech that just gives me, with that particular pilot and the way that you painted him, Scott, just makes me think of Avatar. Who's the commander of the human forces in Avatar?
Yeah. No, I know, that guy's a great actor too. I can't think of his name.
Yeah. But
I mean, that movie's terrible, but like,
oh sure,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but just in the suit, in the Walker, looks fantastic.
We're trying to find some unobtainium. It's like, James Cameron. He's like, took him 20 years to develop the technology, and it took him like 30 minutes in a hotel bathroom to like write the script. I'm like, oh god,
fantastic. Why the bathroom?
Because where else are you gonna write it?
Was he just sitting on the can, writing on the toilet roll?
Yeah, it's like he sat down and was serious about writing the script. It was like, oh, I got a couple minutes. I left my phone outside. That's cool. I have this napkin and this like crayon. I'm just gonna write down the script.
Awesome.
I'm assuming the script just says Fern Gully, and then he like went and then made up some some lines.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. More Relic Blade. So these
Those guys are great.
they are awesome, aren't they?
Are these all Scots?
Yeah. That's what I said. Like the rest of the models tonight are Scots. It's the Scott Reedham show.
So the small business we're talking about in this episode is Scott.
Well, no, the small business supporter.
Oh no! Unless he's selling these as consignment painting, and then he's the small businessman.
Oh,
so.
right, okay. Stephen Lang, there we go. Excellent. Avatar was stolen from Call Me Joe. Okay. Oh, really? State won a suit. Interesting. Did not know that. It wasn't Pocahontas. That's where I thought it was.
Again, if we're all old enough to remember the animated series, the animated movie Fern Gully, it is exactly the same story. Like they didn't change anything. They changed the proper nouns. It's the exact same thing.
Well, I think we're old enough to remember it. I just don't know that I've ever seen it.
Oh, okay. I mean, Pocahontas also works. Like it's not good. Like the fact that.
Anyway, enough about that. Enough about big business.
What else we got?
But yes,
I do like these orcs though. They look great.
they do look excellent.
Or I guess they're.
So next up, we have models from Twisted. There's a game by Demented Games. So it's my friend Sebastian Archer in Australia. Spectacular sculptor. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, so...
These are great.
Yeah, so Sebastian and Pete Overton, two of the guys from Demented Games. This was a little bit of an odd one. It sort of struck at an odd time. It was very steampunk.
Yeah, it's very steampunky looking.
Well, they pushed it in a sort of a fantasy steampunk angle.
Yeah.
As well. But they did the Kickstarter in 2016, 2015. It took a little while for them to be able to get the models out, and I don't know that they had a particular plan sort of to get it out into retail after that. And because they were based in Australia, it's a little bit tough to for folks to be picking up on that shipping charge. But the miniatures are brilliantly sculpted. Sebastian does an awesome job of that. And he currently has a line of busts that he's working on.
Like Scott, another Aussie. If you buy $100 in Aussie worth of Twisted minis, you get safe passage across the wasteland. I thought that was nice of him. He seems like a reasonable man.
Exactly.
I hope that when you call customer service, he sounds like the Great Humongous.
Really?
That's what I'm hoping.
I'd prefer if he sounded like the Gyro Captain.
Oh, that'd be great too. Yeah, I'd be okay with either of those.
Bruce Spence. Bruce Spence was also the mouth of Sauron.
Yeah,
in the extended version. But yeah, Sebastian does awesome work. And Scott, you've done a great job painting these up. Oh, it's Kate. Scott says full range is available on in the UK from Womp. Who've been
I'll take his word for it.
Yeah, the Womp forum is something that's been around for a long time. I didn't know it was still going, but definitely very cool. But beautiful painting on those models there, Scott. Next up, what do we have?
I like those unicycle Segway robot cops too. Those are great.
Yeah, they are cool, aren't they? Speaking of beautiful models, actually this one I'm gonna need a lot of your help, Scott, because I know nothing about Moonstone. And these are some of Scott's fun.
I remember Moonstone. I think we actually backed Moonstone. Do I have it here? I might have it here. I they have a goblin riding a pug,
Right.
and I painted it up for my wife, and she has it like I might have it here somewhere, but it's pretty adorable. I mean, they're all metal minis. They're really cool. They have a very like old, like grenadier kind of vibe, but they're very like spindly and twisty and stuff.
Okay.
Their minis look really cool.
They do. Yeah, they do look awesome. That's kind of crazy. I didn't realize it was like that. I thought it was mainly like a board game. Is it not a board game at all?
So it's kind of like, I think the original Kickstarter, if I remember, is a board game, but it's like a board game that uses skirmish miniature rules. So it's almost like if Relic Knights, and Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, it's almost like if Relic Knights was a board game.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Relic Knights or Relic Blade.
Set up and stuff and.
Right. Yeah. I know. But these models look great as well. Moonstone, wonderful minis, resin minis. Oh, there you go, resin minis. Tom Greenway runs that show. He's a handsome man, deserves your money. It's a very fun looking game I haven't played yet.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find the mini. It's probably right over there in one of the cases. Like it's a little pug.
Yep.
And I painted it to look like our pug, and then there's this like goblin wearing. I mean, I'm assuming it's a goblin. It's a small little guy, and he's wearing like a knight's helmet, like
Yep.
with like the visor down. You can just see like his bottom jaw, his teeth sticking out.
Yep. Did you paint that? Did you paint that to look like your wife?
The goblin, no. The goblin is just a goblin.
Just a goblin. That's good. But no, these guys look fantastic, and I love the dude on the left with the looks like it's eyes going up through his turban. I could be wrong.
I'm a big fan of the guy wearing the plague doctor mask, flashing the crowd.
Yes.
Showing you. That's great.
Awesome. So this is one mechanic I like. You drop D4s on the table that you're trying to collect.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. I will say I did not put all of Scott's minis in. There are a few that I didn't get, but I got most of them. So next up, these are from Black Site Studios that we mentioned earlier, who've been working with Sean at Metal King Studio. So Black Site Studios have their own. They've got a bunch of games now, actually. So
what's their big mini game called?
Is it this one? Don't Look Back.
That's it.
Yep.
That's the one. So Don't Look Back. My business partner Ben, who you know.
Yep.
Ben went to high school with the kid who wrote that game.
Oh, okay. Radio. Cool.
Yeah. And he was really funny. He was talking to Ben. He was like, "Yeah, I worked on like a game, and it's kind of cool." And Ben was like, "Okay, cool." Like everybody says that. And then we found this game. We're like, "This is a great game." Like, well, you should have been a little more like upfront with what you meant when you were like, "Oh, I worked on a game." Like,
yeah.
Yeah. The robot's great. I hate clowns, so I'm not going to say anything nice about that clown. But the robot...
Awesome. But yes, they also do Luna that we talked about a bunch of episodes ago. But they do some fantastic pre-painted MDF laser cut terrain.
Okay.
Too. That's the big business is. The main part of their business is the laser cut terrain. So definitely worth checking out all of their stuff. Black Site Studios. And talking about Aussies, it's run by, well, one of the owners is Benjamin Galbraith, who is an Australian. Hooray!
Moonstone teaches you that life is hard and feet are soft.
Yeah. I don't know, so I saw a meme the other day. Maybe you posted it, I don't know. But there was the announcement that Lego and Wizards of the Coast were teaming up for Lego D&D.
No, that wasn't me.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw that one.
It's like the picture of Joey from Friends going. and the other one was just Lego D4s.
God.
It's like that's the ultimate.
They are pretty dangerous.
So, but no, Black Site Studios, they got lots of great minis as well as lots of great terrain. Definitely check them out. They're out of Texas. And they just recently moved to a huge facility, so they're super excited. I don't know how many people they got working for them now. I think there's it's like 6, 7, maybe 8 people.
Okay.
Starting to build up there. Start to get into that, move out of that mom and pop. No, that's 50, did you say? They're still well within that then.
I think it's so the next bracket is 25 to 50. It's more than 2 dozen.
Oh, okay, right.
So 25 to 50.
Yeah. Excellent. But yeah, so we'll switch across to this one, which we have as the cover photo on our front page. But so there we go.
These models are great, especially that girl. The girl has a hockey stick. I love her already.
Excellent. These are from Hassle Free. So these were sculpted by Kev White. Hassle Free Miniatures in the UK. I think in the description where Scott posted this, he said that obviously the miniatures are fantastic, but the last few times he's ordered from them, their customer service was a little bit spotty. I think what happened there, Scott, is that Kev and Sally weren't able to keep up with the casting, and a friend of theirs said, "I'll do the casting for you." A friend of theirs in casting did it, and then he suffered some mental health issues. And of course, Kev and Sally wanted to support him. It took a while to sort all of that out, work out where he was in the casting, getting orders sorted, that kind of thing. So it took them quite a while to get that worked out. But I think they're in a much better spot. Or I think everybody's there is in a much better spot now. But
are these for a game, or are these just like, you know, agnostic minis you could use for like whatever?
Pretty much agnostic minis you can use for whatever.
They're super cool. They have a very like Zombicide vibe.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, business partner from Artemis Black. Yeah, that's the person I was talking about there. But I don't think that Kev went to GW. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, regardless, hassle-free miniatures, small business making beautiful stuff.
Yeah, they're super cool.
Yeah, if you get the opportunity to get hold of them. Yeah, if you're playing any sort of post-apocalyptic survival game, hands down, hassle-free miniatures has got the best survivor figures for sure. Yeah, play these guys in my post-apocalyptic warband for This Is Not a Test and Last Days from Ash Barker as well. Hassle-free minis are so good. They are
doesn't
wonderful.
Doesn't Ash have a new one out? Doesn't Ash have a new Kickstarter?
Not a Kickstarter. He has a new game, actually. So this brings us to the end of our minis to see, minis to look at.
Our Scott section?
Yeah, the Scott Radom
Scott segment of our show.
expose. But, so...
Great work, Scott, by the way. That warband looks awesome.
Yep, absolutely excellent work, everybody. Thank you very much. I'm now going to cross Blacksite Studios off the list, Metal King Studios, GCT Studios, Olmec Games. Oh, we still have a bunch more to mention. Loads.
Yep.
So
there's a lot.
Steel Rift, I think, is the name of Ash's new game.
Okay.
Which is a mech game. I know there's a mech game.
Yeah.
Because Ash is obsessed with mechs. But that is being supported, or published or supported by Death Ray Designs.
Yep.
So Austin and Joe, down in North Carolina, I think.
Cross that one off the list here.
But yeah, so Death Ray Designs is another great one to check out. With all of the recent Kill Team terrain coming out, I mean, like, I really need to get into building my vault, the laser cut vault that I got from Death Ray Designs at a Nova just before the pandemic. So I have a bag which is full of, it can do like a 4x4 table's worth of interior
And it's just pieces.
At the moment, it's all flat MDF that needs to be assembled and like punched out and assembled and sprayed. But they're a beautiful kit. Definitely worth checking them out. But again, they're doing. That's a company as well that is expanding into miniatures. They have, I think, 2 or 3 miniature lines. In that, most of them in that small scale mech combat kind of arena.
Somebody was telling me that supposedly Rackham's coming back, or not Rackham, but like their
Confrontation.
Confrontation's coming back, and I know Greg is like super stoked about that.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to talk with him and maybe come back to that one, because we could just go down a whole rabbit hole of hypotheses. Yeah,
Do that. I'm trying to think of other small ones I had.
Yep.
So I had Cromlech on the list.
Yep. Actually, just before we do, Scott said didn't shout out Dragonforge, but most of my stuff is on his bases. So yeah, I have Dragonforge design on my list here, definitely. So Jeff pops in occasionally. I think he was in last week. He'll be disappointed he wasn't in this week. But yeah, Jeff does some beautiful resin bases. Got some fantastic lines. I've got a lot of my stuff on them too, Scott, because they are quality products. But again, that is Jeff. Jeff sculpts the bases. Jeff orders the resin. Jeff complains about when the resin isn't delivered by his UPS driver correctly. But yeah, Jeff does all the casting, all the shipping, all of it. It's just Jeff. So, more power to you, Jeff.
Yeah. Keep up the good work.
Keep up the good work, for sure. Keep up the good bases. Who was your next one? Cromlech.
Yeah, Cromlech. It's weird, like when I think of them, because you're always like, oh, a small company, and it's like they've just been around for such a healthy chunk of time now. They think that everybody kind of like, just kind of like, oh yeah, the guys at Cromlech, and I'm like, they're still a very small company.
Yeah.
They're all, I think they're in Poland. But there's a bunch of guys kind of in that same class that I all kind of like put together. It's like Cromlech, Secret Weapon, who's the other one? Puppets War.
Yep.
Like all those guys. And then, I'll shout out this guy too. Tortuga Bay.
Tortuga Bay. Yep.
This guy does great stuff. Yeah, it's kind of cool seeing all those guys kind of pop up and just throw tons of stuff. Like I said, Cromlech's big advantage is just they've been around for such a long time that they now have they have a good catalog.
Yep.
So I think when you see it, people are like, oh, they're a big company. I'm like, they're really not. It's just like they have a years of advantage on everybody else. So
yep. I think for me with Cromlech, it's always like, yeah, I think of Cromlech, I think, oh, they've got like orcs, got bits for converting orcs. Like we saw Scott's orc force that he's World War II themed orc force that he's working on. But they've got so much more.
Yeah.
So much more. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. Cromlech. Cross them off the list. There we go.
Yeah. The other one I was gonna say is and they're newer, but the guys at Broken Anvil.
Right.
So they're doing they did their Kickstarter a while back, Rivenstone.
Yep.
Which we backed as a store. I'm excited to get it. Ben is like super pumped for that game. The minis are great. Very, very interesting sculpts.
Yep.
And as far as I know, everything is done in house. Like they do all the sculpting and the design and layouts, and
they have the other thing as well is that Broken Anvil, prior to that, the Rivenstone game, they had a Patreon going for a couple of years with STL files.
Yeah.
So, which is where that's the bulk of their cash flow comes from. But they are up to 30 staff members, I think, or at least 30 people doing work for them. So there's a great, well, maybe not great, but there's a video that's actually pretty good from Ninjon and Miniac, who when they go and visit the Broken Anvil HQ.
Oh, nice.
So you can go and check that out on. I can't remember if it's on Miniacs or if it's on Ninjons or if it's on Trapped Under Plastic. Might be on Trapped Under Plastic. But yeah, definitely worth going to check that out. It's from back in May, I think. I'll give you a bit more of an insight into Broken Anvil. They've actually just launched another crowdfunding project, but they're doing it on the BackerKit platform. BackerKit's crowdfunding platform. So,
Okay.
just the same as Kickstarter is starting to get into being able to include add-ons and that sort of thing, and the way that add-ons can possibly work within their structure, which essentially cuts out pledge managers.
Yeah.
So these pledge managers are creating their own crowdfunding platforms. So BackerKit, we've got that going, and Broken Anvil has something up there at the moment. You can check that out. Who else do you have next?
Titan Forge.
Titan Forge, okay. Titan Forge do.
I believe they're also from Poland. I think they make a game. They send us some stuff, and I always see them at shows. And I wish I could remember the name of their game. You know what? I'm gonna look it up on my phone.
Go for it.
They had some really cool minis while we were at, I think we were at PAX Unplugged, and they had a really cool table. And I went over and I was talking to the guys, and the cool thing about them, like we were talking about before, is like you can either buy like squad boxes or army boxes
Okay.
or faction boxes, and then you can also just get STLs from them too.
Okay, radio.
If you don't want to pay for like shipping and everything, you just do it that way.
Yep.
Blood Fields is their game, but they have a massive range of like minis and stuff. But Blood Fields is like skirmish game I was talking about.
Okay. Cool.
And their faction boxes are cool. There's like a vampire box and a werewolf box and like a knight's box and like an elf box and.
Okay.
What do you have next?
We're right around the hour and a half mark, so I think we'll just quickly push through the rest that we have on this list.
Okay, so I had a couple that are not. I had a couple that are not miniatures companies. So I did Free League.
Yep.
A Free League Press, like they're an RPG company. They started out very, very small, and they'd only done like I think 2 or 3 RPGs at the time, and then they kind of like got into bigger licenses. Like Tales from the Loop is one that you might recognize.
Yep.
That was the first one that they got recognized for a bunch of stuff. They won a bunch of awards, and then by proving that they could do that, that's how they got
Vesson.
the Alien license.
Right. Yep.
Which is amazing, and now they're doing the new Blade Runner RPG.
Oh wow, okay.
I cannot wait for. But I tell people all the time, they're one of those companies that I'll always buy their stuff because all they do is hit home runs. Like they I think at this point, I think Cyberpunk makes like their 12th or 11th RPG that they've done.
Right.
And they don't tend to go super broad.
Yeah.
Like there's usually like a core book and maybe like 1 or 2 supplements, and that's really it. But all of their stuff is really, really good.
Yeah. My favorite, not necessarily my favorite thing, but the thing that I find kind of amusing and depressing at the same time is that so they started out the Fria Liga, something like that. They're Swedish, is that right?
Yep.
And whenever they'd put stuff out into the world and it was being promoted on English language sites, everyone would say Fria Liga, Free League, is it Free League?
Yeah.
And then just recently, I think earlier this year, they changed their name to Free League. It's an English name.
Everything still says Fria Liga.
Well, I'm sure that like stuff that was printed before
Sure.
then. But yeah, from my understanding is that like earlier this year they went, oh, we're just Free League now. But they did so yeah, Tales from the Loop, Simon Stalenhag, his artwork is what that was based on. And Johan Ergenkrantz is a Swedish artist who is big into miniatures as well. He used to post online as Jeff Vader.
Nice.
Brother of Darth Vader. But, Jeff Vader. But he does a whole bunch of fantastically illustrated pieces on mostly on Nordic mythology. And so they
have a bunch of stuff. They have a game called Vaesen.
Vaesen, yep.
It's very much like Norse, like Cthulhu-y, like otherworldly horror stuff that's really cool.
So if you go and check out the artwork for that, that'll be Johan Ergenkrantz.
His art is phenomenal. It has a very like old school. I can't remember the artist. It was an artist I used to love for D&D. That was great. And Evan said like also the One Ring. So yeah, they have a bunch of stuff. But again, if you're like I want to dabble in other RPGs, they're one of those companies that they don't make anything bad. They don't have one license that they've like mishandled, which is kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
The other one I would say is Ninth Level. So
Okay.
Ninth O'Neill, they're based in Philadelphia. Super good folks. The game that most people might know would be
Sorry.
Yeah, that's his art.
That's a piece of art.
Yeah, his the Vaesen book is worth buying just to look at the artwork. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I pulled that out of my envelope of
I know.
The Art of Chris Shuri. So that piece of art is going into one of my books.
Hopefully it's credited. The Chris and Heather, their big one that most people might know is Kobolds Ate My Baby.
Okay.
That one, that's really fun. It's a super fun RPG. And then they make a bunch of really, really great new stuff. They make some small board games and stuff and like party games. But their big one is like RPGs. They run it on the polymorph system that Chris invented. Mazes is their big one. It's my favorite game that they make. It feels like an RPG from like 1979.
Okay.
But he just made it like a year ago.
Okay.
It has that old like pulp look to it, and like the rules are really simple, but like it's elegant. Like it's very, very simple, very, very easy to learn. But there's so much cool stuff you can do. And as somebody who runs games and as a storyteller, it puts a lot of like the dependability on the player, the responsibilities on the players.
Okay.
So like I don't like if we're playing and I'm running the game, I don't roll any dice.
Right. Okay.
So it's like, oh, a skeleton swings at you. Dave, make me a boots check, and that's like you trying to get out of the way. And if you fail it, the skeleton hits you. And then when you want to hit the skeleton, you make your like attack roll, and then if you hit the skeleton. But it's super fun. It's great for like narrative games and getting people into like the mindset of playing an RPG. They're super fun.
Okay, that's cool. That's 9th level.
Yeah, 9th level.
9th level. Cool. Excellent. What else do we have that people mentioned? Sea Dog Games.
I don't know that one.
Sea Dog Game Studios. So this is Josh. Josh mentioned this one. When I saw Josh at Historicon earlier this year in July, he was running demo games for them and doing some beta testing for their 3rd edition mech game. So they have a sort of naval sailing game and a mech game. I can't remember the name of them. If Scott is still in the chat, he can let us know. Did I say Scott? I meant Josh. If Josh is still in the chat, sorry. Can let us know. But Sea Dog Game Studios here in the US, small business. One that's up your neck of the woods, as a friend of mine, is Tim Colonna and Trilaterum.
Ben was talking about that today. Ben loves that. He just picked up a bunch of stuff at I think ArmorCon or something.
Right, local con. Yep, that's the kind of the quintessential small business where Tim is creating this game himself and he's selling it at local conventions and that kind of thing, and slowly building it up. The crazy thing is he apparently has a Tuesday night live stream as well, so I'd love to be able to say go and check it out, but it's at 7 p.m. same as us. So
all right, guys.
Sorry. There we go. Tech Commander 3rd edition was in beta, and Sail Power soon to have some new paint and additional shinies. Fantastic. Thank you, Josh. So we have those two. Somebody mentioned that Night Models was still a small business. Who mentioned that? Somebody in the chat. In the group.
Yeah, Night Models is one of those ones that it's always hard to think that way because you're like they have such a huge license.
Yep.
I mean, like they have the DC license, so they make like the Batman game, and then they have all the DC crossover stuff. But yeah, I mean they're definitely still a small business. Like there's no way they're not that big.
Yep. Yep, for sure. Oh, Scott is asking Sea Dog Games.
Yes, we talked about that.
Yes. Not sure. Stepped away for a little bit. But yeah, Night Models, still a small business, working with a big, well,
Right.
couple.
They just did a Kickstarter for the RPG, so
Couple of big licenses. They've got. I think they still have the Harry Potter license as well.
oh yeah. The Batman is the one I always think about.
Oh yeah,
the Batman.
yeah, no, for sure. It's the one they've had the longest. So
Yeah.
And the other one that I've got on the list here is Monument Hobbies. So
Okay.
speaking of, basically this section of my desk is where all my Monument Hobbies paints live, and this is where my GW paints, and this is where my Vallejo paints live.
Where's your Pro Acryl stuff?
That's the Monument Hobbies.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, Monument Hobbies, when did they start? Probably 2018? 2017, 2018?
Another small paint company would probably be like Turbo Dork.
Yep. David Ork. But yeah, crazy thing. So Jason Craze, who runs Monument Hobbies, I used to work with him. He used to work with us at GW. But he was the finance guy for the West region. So he worked in the LA office with Dave Kingston and those folks. But he was their finance guy. And I can't remember when he left. It was probably when they dissolved the regions. But I think it was around, let's say 2006. So I probably hadn't seen him from between 2006 and then he popped up running Monument Hobbies like 10 or 11 years later. And he'd come to GW from working at there's a light switch company. I can never remember the name, like Lutron or something like that. And he'd been the finance guy for Lutron, or wherever they are. But yeah, he's done a whole range of stuff in the sort of in and out of the industry. But yeah, absolutely crazy. But it's always really good to talk with him, and Scott was talking about quality social media presence and a great website. They have both of those things. So Monument Hobbies does a live stream every weekday, I think. So usually for 2 hours, Jason and Jen will get on and paint and talk about all sorts of things. But yeah, just run through and lots of painting techniques and painting approaches, and it's really interesting because Jason paints quite differently to the way that I do. So it was a lot of fun playing with paints that sort of he designed for the way that he paints.
Right.
So when some of them didn't work the way that I expected them to, I gave him a call and said, "Hey, what am I doing wrong?" And he was like, "Well, what are you doing with it?" I said, "I'm doing this." And he goes, "Oh yeah, well I don't do that. Here's how I do it." So we should definitely have him on as well to chat about
Yeah, for sure.
Monument Hobbies. But yeah, great paints, excellent range, great customer service.
You got anybody else?
That was it. That was it for me. I'm sure there are plenty of others. There are thousands of others, but
Yeah, there's so many. The last one I would throw out there is Res Nova.
okay.
So
Yep.
this one's important to me because like I'm now helping them, and like they have a license that I love. They have the Mutant Chronicles Warzone license to make like the Warzone skirmish game.
Yep.
They did their Kickstarter initially. Then they decided to refund everybody's money because they weren't happy with what they had. They wanted it to be bigger, and they didn't really like some of the sculpts. But they kind of felt like they were being pushed by the IP owner. So they decided to wait. We're gonna relaunch everything. I think this coming Adepticon we're gonna relaunch everything. So
Right.
but I think that'll be great.
Yep. Definitely. That's a sort of IP that's been around and for a long time in various forms.
Yeah, it's been badly mismanaged the last. I would say probably like it's probably more like 20 years now because like there's
Right.
the original medals and then they did like a second edition version of it, but I forget who did it. And then it was kind of like dead for a while, and then I think Protoss got it, but like they didn't really advertise it well, and then it didn't really catch on anywhere.
Yep.
I guess it had like a decent following like in parts of Europe, but very very small. And then they lost the license, and then so I will see. Like I'm excited. So
Yep. That should be very cool. But yeah, just quickly, Kate says Marauder Industries is my small business, custom laser cutting and 3D printing. So
nice.
yeah, Kate does some excellent 3D printing. I saw Kate at Historicon as well, actually. So
Custom laser cutting.
just a
Okay, we
reminder,
want you
Josh is the one who
Dave-
sent me this set of clippers, or actually gave me this set of clippers, and Kate is the one who gave me the God hands.
Yeah, those are way better.
Well, these are good for metal, right? For
Sure.
paper clips and stuff. So just recently I
Those
did
are
some pinning. I use paper clips.
Yeah.
Use these for paper clips stuff.
Those are good for pinning, or if you need like toenails or something.
Yeah, I've got the in between for my toenails.
You know.
It's they are here.
We need Kate to use her. We need Kate to use her like laser cutting and like put like my logo and your logo on the moon. Just
Just cut it in.
how powerful? How many megawatts is your laser?
I'm sure. I think it points down though.
Oh,
Into the tray to cut wood.
Just put a mirror under it.
Awesome. But yeah, thanks very much, everybody. I think we've covered a lot of things. So yeah, check out Resnova. Check out Dragonforge Design, Titanforge, Ninth Level, Free League, Broken Anvil, Cromlech, Olmec Games, GCT Studios, Monument Hobbies, Night Models, Sea Dog Game Studios, Trilaterum, Metal King Studio, Death Ray Designs, Black Sight Studios, and whoever else I forgot during the stream. Myself.
And obviously, Marauder Industries. If you need anything laser cut or whatever, and then
Yep.
check out Dave Taylor Miniatures, and you should check out Alpha Mega Hobby.
Yep.
Dude, I'm so like we just got some really cool merch at the store. Like so, I always have my black on black camo hoodies, which are my favorites.
Yep.
But we just got so they're like it's like it's a digital pad that you can write on with a pen.
Yep.
And then you press a button and it erases it.
Right.
And we got them made by this company Boogie Board. So they have our logo like stamped on them, like our full logo with like the name and everything. And they look so cool. And I'm like, man, I want all of them.
Nice. Excellent.
But
Cool. Okay, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, all the fun stuff. And check out the tremendous Tome of Epic Dungeons on Kickstarter now. Link in the notes below.
share that with people. Let's get
Share it out
get
there.
that book out there for Dave and Jeff and get that out and up and running. And it's always great seeing you guys. And I'm psyched that we got a bunch of people on here. It's always fun like having it live and being able to answer questions and stuff. So,
Yep.
what do we want to talk about next week?
Oh, sorry, just quickly. Ironheart Industries.
I forgot about Ironheart.
Yeah, Ironheart Artisans. My goodness.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes. Alex does all of my online sales for my books.
Nice.
And does my US fulfillment for my Kickstarters as well. So it's always nice to drive down to stay with Alex and his wife and pack a lot of boxes. It's definitely super cool.
So next week is the first.
It's the first of November. Oh, it's All Saints Day.
So what do we want to talk about? Saint models,
Uh,
religious models,
Pardon?
religious models. Like if it's not a sister,
Really, how about religious inspired models? We can do that. So yes, so saints, angels, demons.
yeah, sure. There we go.
Let's do demons as well.
You know what? With it being so close to Halloween, yeah, we could do like angels, like an angels and demons show.
Yeah. Okay. Angels and demons. There we go.
If it's like any kind of like weird spirity stuff or like angels inspired, like Sanguinius is fine if you painted up a Sanguinius.
Yeah. Sure. You're just gonna send me pictures of Sanguinius, like 57
like
different
all-
people's interpretations of.
I can find.
Awesome stuff. Very cool.
Hey guys, thank you guys so much. We will talk to you all next week, and don't forget to post some comments and stuff. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends about it so we can get bigger, and then we will see you guys next week.
Don't forget to Build, paint,
Build.
play. Play. We're still gonna get the rhythm right, yeah?
You want it fast?
Shut up
slow?
and sit down.
Romantic, isn't it?
Shut up and sit down.